tutorial is going to cover IntelliJ and creating a first Java program in IntelliJ. So if you want to follow along, make sure you have Java downloaded on your computer. You can check that by running java-version in your terminal. Make sure you have IntelliJ downloaded on your computer, and there is a previous tutorial on this playlist that shows you how to do that if you don't already have it downloaded. Have a copy of example starter.txt saved on your computer. I put mine on my desktop, so it's right here. And then this next part is just a basic intro to Java. So this is what a skeleton Java class looks like, and this structure is required for all Java code that you want to run. I'll explain what all these different parts mean in a later slide. So some vocab. A keyword, those are words that can't be used because they already have special meaning in Java. So they'll have special syntax highlighting in your IDE or text editor, and you'll get errors if you try to use them at the wrong time. So just be on the lookout for special coloring, and they'll give you an idea that maybe you're dealing with a keyword. A method is a collection of statements that get executed together. And then a return value is the type of information that is going to be passed back from a method. And we'll go into more detail about return values in a later tutorial. And then command line arguments are information that's passed to the program whenever it's run. So we'll talk more about this in a later tutorial, but it's just keep in mind that that's a way to get information into the program from the beginning without having to use user input. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some parts of this code. There's public, which is a keyword meaning everyone has access. There's class, which is denoting that this is a class, the stuff between these braces. And a class is just the part that makes an actual Java program. This is the name of the class, and it has to match the file name exactly, including capitalization. So the file for this class has to be example.java with a capital E. And then this static is a keyword denoting the type of the method. And we'll talk more about what the static keyword means in a later tutorial. Void is the return value for the method, and it's always void for the main method. Void actually means that we're not going to be returning anything, so it's like an empty return value. Main is the method that runs the code, and there's one per file that you want to be executable, and it's always called main. And then this right here holds the command line arguments for the class. And this notation right here means that this is an array or a list of strings, and we'll be talking about arrays in a later tutorial in more depth. But for now, just know that this is the list of command line arguments. And then this is just a comment. So any lines that start with // like that are comments. Okay, so now for some more vocab. Source code is the set of instructions in a program. So in Java, this is the base Java program. Compile, it means to change a program from one language to another. Bytecode is code that's run on the Java virtual machine. So in this case, Java code is compiled into bytecode, which has the .class extension. Machine code is what's run directly on your computer, and that's just a collection of ones and zeros that the computer interprets. So bytecode gets run on the Java virtual machine, which takes the bytecode and puts it into the machine code depending on what type of computer you're running. So if it's a Linux or a Windows or a Mac machine. And then output is the stuff that's printed by a running program. So the life cycle of a Java program would be source code, which is the Java file, and then it's compiled into bytecode, which is the .class file, and then when it's run, you get the output from the program. So printing in Java, which this is pretty much all we're going to go over in this tutorial because it's the most basic thing. So there's print and println. If you want to print without going to the next line, you just use system.out.print and then open parentheses, open quote, whatever you want to print, close quote, close parentheses, semicolon. If you want to print and go to the next line, it's system.out.println with this ln and then whatever you want to print with the same parentheses, quotes, syntax. And these print statements always need to be wrapped inside of a method. So these two things would go inside of the main from that skeleton that we saw earlier. They couldn't just float around by themselves inside of the class or outside of the class. So the things that matter with these pieces of code. The S in system always has to be capitalized. Every statement in Java has to end with a semicolon. And all the words you print have to be enclosed in quotation marks. Anything besides that, and you'll get errors. So, some more vocab. Sorry, there's a lot of vocab in this section because there's just some base stuff that you need to know whenever dealing with the verbiage of a Java program. So, syntax are the structures, statements, and commands in a program. So, the way that it's basically the way that it's written and how it like looks visually. A syntax error is an error thrown whenever there's a problem with the syntax in a program, and it's thrown during compilation. So during the step that takes the code from the Java into the bytecode. A compile error is thrown during the compilation of a program. So in IntelliJ, it'll underline anything for you that might cause a compilation error. And a syntax error is an example of a compilation error, of a compile error. And then escape sequence is a character coupling that when printed, it does something special, like go to the next line in the console. So here are the escape sequences that are used in Java, and these are common across a lot of different languages. \t would give you a tab character. \n will give you a new line character. \\/ will give you a backslash character, and it always takes 2 to print a single backslash character. And then \quotation will actually give you a quotation. You need the slash so the program doesn't think that you're ending what you're trying to print. Okay, so we're gonna set up a new IntelliJ program. So I'm gonna go to here and click on my IntelliJ that I've locked to my dock, and it's gonna take a second for IntelliJ to load up. And I'm gonna say create new project. And I just want it to be a plain Java, so I'm going to hit next, then next again, and I'm going to call it lunch and learn, and then finish. So it's creating my project for me. And I don't care about those tips. So I double clicked on lunch and learn to get this side pane. And now I'm going to go to source and right click and say new Java class. And I'm going to say that the name is example. So now I'm going to minimize this and open my example starter.txt. And copy the code from inside of it and put it in here. So now I have the base code in place that I want to deal with for this tutorial. So I'm gonna go up and put this all on the same page so we can, I'm gonna double click on this tab here to get rid of that side pane. Okay, so that set up my new project and created a new Java file class inside of it. So this example.java file. Okay, so we're gonna do some practice with printing. The first thing is to print hello world that goes to the next line after it's done. So I'm gonna say system.out. You know what, actually let me make this font a little bit bigger. So to do that, I'm going to go to IntelliJ IDE and then Preferences. And then I'm going to go to Editor, Font. I'm going to make this, instead of 12, make it 16. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So I'm going to say system.out.println hello world. Then I want to print backslash space / space backslash. So system.out.println. And since I need 2 backslashes to print 1 / I'm going to do backslash space 1 / space backslash. And then see this red right here and this red on the side? That's telling me that it's expecting a semicolon, so I'm going to do that. Now I want to print A tab B tab C. So for that, I'm going to do system.out.println A \t B \t C. And the next one is print hello world using 2 separate print statements. So the first one, I'm just going to use system.out.print. And for the second one, I'm going to use println. And since I want to make sure I get a space between them, I'm going to put a space here. If I forgot the space, the hello and the world would be just butted up against each other. And then print hello world a word per line using a single print statement. So I'm going to need to use that new line escape character. So I'm going to do system.out.println hello \n world. And then I want to print hello world with quotes. So I'm going to need that quote escape sequence. So system.out.println \quotes hello world \quote. And you can tell from the syntax highlighting that the escape sequences are a special color, and that's it. That'll make it a little bit easier to tell when they're visually as you're editing your code what the escape sequences are. So keep an eye on it. So if I look at this, I don't see any red, and which means I'm not going to have any compile errors. So the way that you can run this is you go here to run and hit run. And for IntelliJ, every time you want to run a class, it has to have a configuration. And since you don't have one yet, it's gonna create this default one for you, which is what I want to use. And here it's building to run it, and it's parsing the Java and finished. And this is my output. So exit code 0 means that there weren't any problems while it was running. And this is just a message on the console that isn't going to end up mattering, I don't think. Let's see. Yeah, doesn't matter for now. So it did what I expected. It printed hello world, and then \/ A tab B tab C, hello world, using these two separate print statements. Hello, and then world on two separate lines with this single print statement, and then hello world with quotes. If I want to edit the hello configuration, I would go here. I would go to this drop down and then edit configurations. And here I can change the name of the main class, the VM options, the program arguments, that sort of thing. We won't have to deal with this much for the simple programs we'll be writing in the beginning, so just go with whatever the default is for now. I'm going to say OK. So yeah, and if I want, now that I've got the configuration set up, I can just hit play to rerun it again. So, and then these options on the side will do things like let you clear the console, or sorry, close the console, rerun it. One of these is for clearing the console. That's what it is, this little garbage can. This will let you print the console, scroll to the end, use soft wraps, that sort of thing. And then this gear will let you change what you see for the console, and this arrow here will completely hide the console for you until the next time you might need it. So the next time you run, and you can see the console again. So yeah, if something had gone wrong in the course of the program running, or if it didn't compile properly, we would see it here. So if, for instance, if I remove this semicolon, which is required, and try to hit run, I get this error that tells me at line 7, it's expecting a semicolon. So if for some reason you don't see this red and you just hit run, or you introduce red in a class that's not currently open in IntelliJ, whenever you hit play, you'll get this. So it'll be immediately obvious what's gone wrong. So some practice for outside of this is to write a program to print out Jobby. So, which is this cute penguin. So either this version of Jobby with a blank background, or this version of Jobby with the darker background. And there will be a follow-up video showing how to do that. Files for Jobby, both versions, can be found in the description for this video. And that's it. It's a pretty simple intro, but I feel like a lot of vocab was covered, so that could take some thinking on. Okay, I hope that was helpful.